Yes.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Jericho May Board of Education meeting. Can we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you once again. Welcome to the May Zoom Board of Education meeting. We have quite a few participants on the line tonight. Thank you everybody for joining us. I apologize for the late start. I had a wardrobe malfunction, which is now taken care of. We have a somewhat brief agenda. We're going to go through everything. We're going to begin with recognition of board members. Are you going to take care of that, or am I? Oh, you're muted.
Muted. Bill, yeah, do you want to take that forward? You'd like me to?
Sure, no problem. NYSBA has recognized this month Jill Citron and Pam Heath, our Board of Ed colleagues, for their outstanding service to this community and to the New York State School Boards Association. So we start the meeting by thanking and congratulating them for all of their efforts and hard work this year and every year that you've been on the board. So thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
We will, again, start the meeting by just very briefly sending our best wishes to everybody in the community. We hope that everybody watching is healthy, that your families are healthy. We know that this has been a very, very interesting and long and difficult now 2 months for all of us here in New York, here in Jericho. Once again, a thank you to the administration, to our faculty, to our staff, to our parents who are doing a yeoman's job in trying to maintain the educational integrity here in Jericho. Seems like at least, well, we know school's done for the year, but as far as the New York pause, seems like we're getting, we could see the light at the end of the tunnel. We hope you're all doing well. As things open up, we just encourage people, as you have in this community from the start, do your best to stay safe, to wear a mask, to adhere to all the regulations that the state and the doctors recommend. We don't want to see a recurrence of this virus. We've had too many losses here in Long Island, too many losses here in the Jericho community, both in our parent community, our grandparent community, and just folks who live here within the district. So again, we're in this together, as Hank says, as the t-shirts say that many of you bought. We, to help others, we remain Jericho strong. We're here for one another, and again, on behalf of the Board of Education and the entire district, we thank you and we send our best wishes to all of you. With that, I turn it over to you, Hank, and some of the staff to handle the tenure recipients for the evening.
We're really pleased, and every May we have an opportunity to recognize our staff members who've worked so hard to earn tenure. Tenure in the Jericho School District is an honor and is an accomplishment that is one that our staff members need to work hard to achieve and to work toward that recognition. And tonight we are all so proud to spend a few minutes recognizing those staff members who have earned tenure as Jericho staff members. And with that, I'd like to introduce Barbara Bauer to start the recognitions.
Can I ask Barbara just to wait for 1 second so I can get all the speakers over? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Almost done. Pretend they're walking over to the microphone.
They're very distinguished looking, I must say, in their various settings. I'm very and welcome you, and hope you're all well and your families are well, and thank you for all you continue to do to keep Jericho moving along. Thank you.
Gina, Denise, is it okay to go?
Yes.
Okay. From the first day that Gina entered the Cantiac Elementary School, she's endeavored to make the walls of the school transparent to the parents and community, enabling them to see the wonderful learning and the community within. She has utilized a wide range of social media to tell us about science experiments, daily community building activities, school-wide celebrations, day-to-day instructional activities, and teacher-student interactions. With the staff, she has set clear goals for instructional improvement and provided opportunities for each professional to learn via faculty meetings, professional development workshops, conferences, and grade level meetings. She holds each and every student at Cantiac close to her heart and looks after their social emotional development as well as their academic improvement. She keeps a keen eye towards always looking for progress and providing the resources, support, and encouragement necessary to make progress for each student a reality. Among the administrators, she's a valued colleague whose participation in discussions about the many challenges that have arisen for teachers, students, and parents, especially during this difficult time, has been valued. It's truly my pleasure to congratulate Gina on attaining tenure in Jericho. I'd like to turn it over now to Brian Cummings, our Curriculum Associate for Science and Technology. He will introduce our next candidate for tenure.
Thank you. Denise, can you hear me? Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. In the 4 years that Nicholas Curcio has been at the Jericho Middle School, he has taught all levels of technology education, including Intro to Technology 6, Technology 7, Technology 8, and Robotics at the Jackson Elementary School. During this time, he has updated the curriculum, added new project opportunities, and introduced equipment to the district, including the laser engraver that is used in the middle school as well as in the high school classes. He has not only helped transform the middle school technology education department, but he's also met the needs of his students by advising the technology club and coaching many middle school teams, including football, lacrosse, wrestling, and track. He's volunteered at STEAM Day and presented at building and district-wide events. He's grown as a person and as an educator in his time at Jericho, and tonight I get to introduce Nicholas Curcio. Help me congratulate him. And now I'd like to introduce Dr. Ivy Sherman.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I would like to congratulate Daniella DeJesus for receiving tenure for the second time in the Jericho School District, the first time as a classroom teacher. Daniella is a literacy leader and has changed the lives of many children at Seaman. Daniella creates readers, and especially readers who love to read. In her 3 years as a reading specialist, she has mastered the implementation of multiple research-based programs and has made them her own. She has learned many testing protocols and is a valued member of just about every team and committee at Seaman. She is a true team player and a lover of everything that is Robert Seaman Elementary School. The one thing Daniella does best in her no-nonsense way is love our kids. It is a privilege to work with her. Congratulations, Daniella. And I would like to introduce John Mankiewicz, our Curriculum Associate for Physical Education.
John was having technical difficulties. John, are you on? I think we're going to go to Don, and we'll come back.
Okay, I'm unmuted, and it is my privilege to recommend, to talk about Eve Mangibin. Eve came to us as a guidance counselor after having considerable experience in the New York City Board of Education as a guidance counselor for over 10 years. In the 3 years that Eve has been here, she's distinguished herself by her hard work, her professionalism, her attention to detail, but most notably the amazing relationships that she forms with students, families, and tasks. Eve throws herself into any job with an incredible passion and work ethic. She's an astute student of the culture in Jericho, and she's a high-level collaborator and problem solver. Really, Eve's the ultimate team player, always striving to mobilize every resource to ensure the well-being of every single student. She's earned the esteem of everyone in our community, and we look forward to her continued growth in future years. It's really my distinct pleasure to recommend for tenure Eve Mangibin as a guidance counselor in the Jericho schools. It's now my distinct pleasure to introduce Helene Kriegstein.
Thank you, Don. Good evening, everybody. It's my pleasure to talk to you tonight about Marissa Mauro. I've supervised Marissa in her positions both in the middle school and in the high school. And the qualities that have impressed me the most from the time that she began her work here in Jericho are her unit design, her detailed lesson plans, and her authentic and engaging activities for students. She really teaches concepts through a constructivist lens where students are able to derive meaning from content. She doesn't rely on a textbook to deliver and disseminate her information. She creates her own classroom materials. They are custom made for her students. And when I visit her classroom, I really get to see her lessons come to life. Her learning activities are based on student engagement, student voice, and student choice. And one of the qualities that impresses me most in general for teachers are being continuous learners. And Marissa to this day is continuing her formal education, and she possesses a true growth mindset and instills that and teaches growth mindset to her students. Marissa has proven herself to be an asset to the mathematics department and to the faculty at large. I'm confident that she will continue on a path of professional growth and that we will continue to see her shine. Congratulations, Marissa. Are we going to go back to?
We're going to continue on. You're good to go to Eric.
Okay. It's my pleasure to introduce my colleague, Dr. Eric Sundberg, Curriculum Associate for Social Studies, Libraries, and Business.
Thank you, Helene. Valerie Mignon-Conklin has had an incredibly positive impact on learning in the middle school, and no one has done more to advance our vision for the district library program. Valerie created the middle school junior librarians. She oversees student-run book discussion groups. She reviews books that she is reading and promotes the library program through her own blog and social media. As a media teacher, she provides her colleagues with professional development in using many digital tools. She has created digital tutorials with which students and teachers can review what Valerie has taught them and self-educate as needed. Thus, Valerie helped build the digital architecture that teachers are using now, while we're all finding our way in this world of remote learning. I know we're going to be relying on her skills in the challenging months ahead. Finally, I find it difficult to imagine getting through Jericho History Day without her patience and ingenuity. She has done as much as any social studies teacher, and they've done a lot, to promote the love of history and inquiry. She has the rare, pure heart of a true teacher. Dr. Sapienza will introduce the next tenure recipient.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to introduce and speak briefly about Ms. Jaclyn Porter, one of our wonderful middle school special education teachers. As a special education teacher, Ms. Porter has demonstrated a keen awareness of the strengths, interests, and challenges of each of her students. Our commitment to learning about our students has yielded individualized instruction that combines content area knowledge with skills and compensatory strategies to overcome individual challenges. Ms. Porter's individualized approach to teaching and learning promotes the use of technology, project-based, and collaborative learning strategies. Her emphasis on these skills has not only assisted her students in their academic careers, but also provided them with valuable skills that could be generalized both inside and beyond the classroom walls. I'm thrilled to work alongside Ms. Porter and eager to continue collaborating and meeting the needs of our students. Congratulations, Jaclyn. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. John Mankiewicz.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
Great. Sorry about that. It is with great pleasure that I present Ms. Lauren Funes to you for tenure this evening. Lauren started as a physical education teacher in the Jericho School District in the 2013-14 school year in a part-time capacity. One of her key attributes is her ability to be flexible in her teaching between both the middle and the high school levels over the last 7 years. Lauren has proven to be an asset within the physical education department. She works extremely well with her colleagues and constantly strives for excellence. 2 years ago, we charged Lauren with the job of creating and implementing a yoga course within our high school physical education program. She accepted this challenge and dove right in, taking courses and working with professionals to develop her curriculum. Enrollment in her class is the highest of any of our PE courses offered. Her class affords our students an opportunity to work out various aspects of fitness, as well as practicing different elements of mindfulness practices and applying these practices outside of the physical education setting. We are proud of everything that Lauren has accomplished and look forward to the future for Lauren here in Jericho.
Thank you. Thank you to all of our presenters. We appreciate your participation this evening. And once again, congratulations to those who have earned tenure this evening. And I turn it back to Bill for a board action, please.
Thank you. First of all, on behalf of the Board of Education, we congratulate each and every one of our tenure recipients this evening. Know that each of you has played an integral role in the success of Jericho. We're proud to have you as members of our staff. We're proud to hear your accomplishments, and we thank you for everything that you have done and continue to do for the students of Jericho. I'm going to read a motion, which is from Schedule J. Whereas in Section 3012 of the Education Law, the following named administrators and teachers have been approved for a probationary period as provided by section of said law, whereas said probationary period will have expired on the date indicated, and whereas in accordance with the provisions of said section of the Education Law, at the expiration of that probationary period, the superintendent of schools shall make a recommendation for appointment on tenure of those persons who have been found to be competent, efficient, and satisfactory, whereas the superintendent of schools, having found the following individuals to be efficient, satisfactory, and more, now recommends that they be appointed on tenure. Now therefore be it resolved that the following are appointed tenure in the areas and on the dates that we just heard: Gina Faust, Nicholas Curcio, Daniella DeJesus, Lauren Funes, Eve Mangibin, Marissa Mauro, Valerie Mignon-Conklin, and Jaclyn Porter. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Robert, do I have a second? Second, Jill. Any discussion?
Yeah, I mean,
Just want to
normally
say-
during, oh, I'm sorry, Jill, you're talking?
I just want to say congratulations to all the tenure award earners, and just, I guess, not apologize, not on anyone's behalf, but just that we can all be together to hug you and congratulate you in person and celebrate you, because if we were at school, we would have cake and party and everyone would be cheering. So I know everyone all the attendees are chatting and saying congratulations. I don't think you could even see that, but everyone is really, really proud of you, happy for you, and wish we were able to celebrate.
Very similar to what I was going to say, that normally there would be cheering, a lot going on during the meeting right now. In place of that, we've been receiving emails all day long, especially for our new principal, Gina Faust, and just congratulating her on the wonderful way she has made the Cantiac School special, both during normal times and during this extraordinary, unusual time, in the way that she has provided extraordinary support for remote learning. I know there were also a lot of very positive comments about all the teachers receiving tenure, and I just want to congratulate everybody and imagine that you hear all kinds of noisemakers in the background. We couldn't read one of the letters, could we? Is that not appropriate? Chris? Chris, you're muted.
Sorry, question, please.
Would it be inappropriate to read one of the congratulations emails that we received, since nobody can get up and speak at the meeting?
Sure. I mean, if it was directed to the Board of Education, it's a congratulations. You can do that at this point. You would have said at a public meeting.
What if it is addressed to the teacher and the BOE was copied on it?
That's a little bit of a different ballgame. If it was directed to the Board of Education only, then I'd say you can read it. So probably a better idea to not read it at this point, Barbara.
Okay, know that we received glowing, beautiful letters.
Sure.
Thank you. Anybody else? All in favor, by show of hands? That's 5. Thank you. Congratulations once again to everybody. I'll just kind of go in order to be safe as I'm watching on one computer and I'm my iPad open with the agenda on the other. So recommended actions, approval of minutes. Here is all the Board of Education making necessary corrections. Move the approval of the minutes of the BOCES budget dated April 21st, 2020, and the regular meeting dated April 23rd, 2020, and the executive sessions dated April 30th, May 7th, and May 11th, all of 2020. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Pam, have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm still having trouble seeing the statement that on the April 30th minutes, there was a statement that I read into the minutes that I asked, wasn't showing up, and then Rita said it was showing up, but it's still not showing in the way that I'm accessing the minutes. I don't know if other people are accessing it in a different way that they can see.
Well, Barbara, I had responded to your email earlier that you won't see it until it's after it's approved. Then the attachments will show up, and I emailed you the attachment that will appear.
Okay, I guess I didn't have time to see. They must have come close to this meeting. All right, thank you.
It was in the early afternoon. I saw it earlier.
Okay, we had a lot of add-ons in the agenda that I was reading through.
We did. Based on Victor's email and the statement, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, superintendent's report.
Thank you, Bill. Again, I'd like to just echo Bill's comment at the beginning of the meeting. Our community has come together, and I'm so proud to be part of Jericho Strong in terms of how our community has come together to support our students and our families. Our food drive has been an incredible success, and we're taking care of so many families in need thanks to our community at large and the leadership from Margaret Aaron and Denise Nash. Again, a huge thank you to both of them and to our community for that level of support. So additionally, in 10 weeks into this, our teachers have definitely risen to the challenge. And I think over the last several weeks, we have really seen significant improvements in our online instruction. Again, from the very beginning, we knew that there would be a challenge involved. And yet our staff and working with our administrators have really done an incredible job of improving on the quality of instruction and fine-tuning that. So, we look forward to what that instruction will look like through the rest of this year, through June the 19th. And again, with compliments to our staff, to our support staff, to our PPS staff for keeping close tabs on our students and our families, and again, as best we can remotely, trying to keep us all together and keeping us all supporting one another. So again, kudos to our teachers, our administrators, and a special thanks to our support staff, to our custodians and our clerical staff who have been behind the scenes managing the clerical backup that we need, keeping our buildings clean and keeping our buildings safe and keeping our grounds safe. I cannot say enough about all of the 700 employees and members of the Jericho family. So thank you. With that, let me just give a couple of other updates. The last day of school, which we talked about at our forum, will be Friday, June the 19th. The schedule for that last week of school will be forthcoming shortly. On June 19th, we'll have completed 184 days of school, and we will have met our local requirement for days of school. We are, and again, as many of you know, you've received emails from our building principals and from advisors, planning end of the year activities, starting with 5th grade moving up, 8th grade moving up, high school graduation, senior awards. We're looking at other celebrations that we look forward to still taking place in some alternate form. We are eager to get direction from the governor in terms of what the summer might look like, and obviously eager await what September will look like. We have some degree we still have some degree of optimism that September we can get back to some degree of normalcy. But again, there are hurdles that we need to meet in Nassau County before that can take place. Earlier today, we had a meeting with Altaris. Altaris, you might remember, is a company that we contracted with about 1.5 years or 2 years ago to help us plan and train in the area of school security. They have been working with us and with other school districts in looking at what are the challenges ahead in terms of reopening, and whether that reopening is summer or fall. They're really provided a great base for us to move forward from. I'm going to ask Ben, who is our coordinator with Altaris, to give us a couple of minute update, please.
Sure, thanks, Hank. Hello, everybody. Today, we met with Altaris and we outlined a process in order to create a recovery plan for the anticipated school opening this fall. Our plan is going to contain priorities, timelines, which will hopefully guide us as we try to anticipate all of the issues surrounding the reopening of school. We do understand that the state may dictate how schools might open. However, we still believe that we should develop a plan specifically for Jericho. Our tentative plan will be to consider some of the following: instruction, health and safety, facilities, transportation, cafeteria services, business operations, human resources, athletics and co-curricular activities, and technology, just to name a few. As we meet and develop this comprehensive plan, we will include representatives and input from every stakeholder in our school community. We will speak to you soon and let you know the progress of our plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you for your leadership, Ben, through our relationship with Altaris and your leadership as we move forward into planning for reopening. I'd like to ask Victor. Victor, if you could spend a minute or two talking a little about June 9th, our budget review meeting, and then taking it into June 9th, please.
Sure, Hank, thank you. Hello, everyone. As you know from those of you who were on the forum last week, the new date for the budget vote and election is Tuesday, June 9th. It is completely per governor's executive order by absentee ballot. There'll be no on-site voting. I believe everyone in the community at this point received a postcard summarizing what we talked about last week. In that everyone who was already registered either through the Nassau County Board of Elections or has voted in a Jericho School District budget vote in the past will automatically receive an absentee ballot. You need to do nothing additional. If someone in the community has not been on the registered through the Board of Elections or not voted in the past, they can email districtclerk@jerichoschools.org or call my office. The number is on the postcard, and we will quickly send you, get you on the list to send a ballot out. I know I received already a few calls, a few emails questioning, and 9 times out of 10, the person questioning was already registered, so we could check on that pretty quickly for you as well. So next week, by the end of next week, we plan on sending out the ballots. We'll have the budget newsletter out as we normally do, and some additional information regarding the budget.
Thank you, Victor. And again, just one more time to just reaffirm Questions can be emailed to Victor or phone calls into Victor's office. Any questions about voting, how to vote, ensure that you get a ballot, and any questions that you have about the budget. Please feel free to reach out to Victor, and he'll be happy to answer your questions. Bill, that concludes the superintendent's report this evening.
Thank you. Victor, should everybody who's going to receive something, receive it already? Should they have received it already?
Yeah, I mean, it was at the post office on Friday, so by today, yeah, yesterday, today, tomorrow, maybe. But everyone in the
So if somebody hasn't received a postcard by, let's say, the end of this week, they should just reach out and let you know that, right?
Absolutely, and the postcard is actually on our website as well. If you go to the front page under announcements, it says information regarding school budget vote, and you could just click on that and you could see the postcard right there. And good point, while we're talking about it, there's actually a link on our website at that same area I just discussed, where you could check to see yourself if you're registered. You put in the information and it'll let you know. And or you could just email me, districtclerk@jerichoschools.org, and we can find out for you.
Thank you. And, we should again, even though we're not at June 9th yet, just acknowledge that, we've never dealt with this situation before, and Victor and his team have been on top of it since the moment we found out that it was going to be all mail-in. And the bulk of your work is ahead of you, and the fact that you're taking the time to properly prepare, to let people know, put all the avenues out there of communication, I think is great. I think it's important, and we thank you for that, Victor. And we know how hard your team is working to make sure that everybody who's supposed to get a ballot has a right to vote is providing one. So thanks again.
Thanks, Bill.
Go to new business. I'd like to move number 1 and 2 together, if that's okay. Approval of 2020-2021 academic intervention services.
Hey, Bill, we can't hear you when you turn your head.
But
sorry, I guess I'll move my iPad in front of me. I apologize. Is it better?
Yeah, but can I just do, I know we skipped over opportunity for the public to be heard. I just had a brief thing, nothing scary. If I could. This afternoon, I received a call from a friend who's on the Roosevelt Board of Education, and she was asking about how we're doing our graduation. And she was, of course, very impressed. But as we talked about it, we bemoaned the inequities between our district and what we can afford and what they can't afford. And, I just was thinking about how wonderful our kids are at fundraising. And I just want to put it out there that if there's anyone looking for a wonderful, very worthwhile project, this, and really do some good in this challenging time. If you'd like to do some fundraising to give the Roosevelt 275 graduating students the same kind of graduation that our students are getting, it's something they cannot afford there, and it would be a really nice project for somebody. So just throwing it out there. If you're interested, you can contact me through the Board of Education. That's it.
That's great. I know, Barbara, you're right. Our community and our kids are always looking to help others. So it's nice when something comes across one of our plates that we can, that we have no personal interest in, but we could put it out there to help others. So thanks for bringing that to our attention. Now, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you, but you're
right.
purple.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm purple. Maybe it's the black line I have, the 1970s thing, because of the picture behind me. I'm really listening to Pink Floyd in one ear. I don't know why I'm purple. I think it's because the light's on behind me. I don't know. I've been noticing. Maybe it's the medication. In any event, purple or not, I'd like to move numbers 1 and 2 together. I think that Barbara Bauer would say that's appropriate, the Academic Intervention Services Plan and the Professional Development Plan. So if I can move that together, I will. Recommend a motion be resolved. The Board of Education approve the Academic Intervention Plan as attached, as well as the Professional Development Plan as attached for the Jericho Union Free School District. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Barbara, second. Dab. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Right, Mike, I just wanted to be a little late on the discussion. I had said this when I sent my comments. The professional development plan, I just wanted to reiterate my kudos and thanks to the administration for hiring and training and supporting our staff, and what was set forth in the professional development plan really shows how hard you guys work and what you put in to make the Jericho staff the best staff around. So thank you.
Thank you, Jill. Do we do the vote? All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, we voted. I was late. My comments were late.
Nope, no problem. Number 3, NISBA, proposed 2021 budget and slate of officers and executive committee members. Whereas Nassau Suffolk School Boards Association has submitted its proposed 2021 budget and proposed 2021 slate of officers and members of the executive committee for the approval of its members and boards, the Jericho Board of Education authorized the district clerk to record the outcome of the votes and notify Nassau Suffolk School Board Association of the results. Be resolved that the Nassau Suffolk School Board Association proposed budget for 2021 being hereby is approved. Be resolved the Nassau School Board Association proposed 2021 slate of officers and members of the executive committee be and here is hereby approved. Do I have a motion?
So
A lot to
moved.
read. No, I'm not purple anymore, I don't believe. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Deb. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Trying not to, I know I missed something last meeting. Memorandum of Agreement, JCAA. Recommend a motion be resolved. The Board of Education approves the memorandum of agreement by and between the Jericho Curriculum Associates Association and the Jericho School District, and authorize the superintendent of schools to execute same on its behalf. Well, let's do that one. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
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 Pam. Any discussion?
Yeah, there are numbers in here, but what % increase does that represent to the salary schedule steps?
Barbara, on both of those agreements for the current school year, the 2019-2020 school year, both of those represent about a 2.2 payroll increase to both of those units, and both of those units have agreed to a hard salary freeze for the coming year. So next year there will be no step movement, and it'll be a hard salary freeze. So in explaining the percentage this year, it also comes with a real sincere appreciation for both administrative groups understanding the financial situation we're in, and that we don't look forward to in the coming year. They have been working longer and harder than ever before, and have agreed to and offered in appreciation of our school district. They have offered to us a hard salary freeze for the coming year. And again, on behalf of our whole school community, we appreciate that offer.
I'd like to thank both units for agreeing to that solid freeze for next year, and recognizing the challenges that we face in terms of increases with reduced state aid and reduced income, I think, for many people. Victor, was that 2.2 in line with whatever we had? I mean, because we're going back, it's back pay. Was that in line with what we had in this year's budget?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. You know what, maybe based on that, we could move both at the same time. I think that would probably be best. So if we just kind of repeat that, be resolved, the Board of Education approves the memorandum of agreement by and between the Jericho Curriculum Associates and the Jericho Educational Administrators Association, and authorizes the superintendent of schools to execute each agreement on our behalf.
So moved.
Now, do we have a second? We have a second. Any further discussion? I would just like to add, my appreciation. We talked a great deal about salaries. We talked a great deal about budget at the recent forum last week. I have significant concerns about trying to maintain our academic programming and the academic integrity. I know I said that earlier, but it's very, very important that we maintain that. But I also think it's important for us to look at the community as a whole, and folks who have been economically disadvantaged and impacted by COVID-19. We could not, have a budget, the one that we're going to approve without the cooperation of both of these bargaining units. We appreciate, the fact that they've taken a hard freeze for next year. The Board of Education sent a letter to all bargaining units that I signed, which is the first time I think the board has ever sent a letter, just letting people know how important this particular issue is to us. At the same time, letting everybody know, all of our administrators, everything that they do every day to get this done and approved tonight. Really, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I know everybody on the board does as well. All in favor?
Aye.
Bill, let me just
Thank you
also-
again.
Yep, Bill, if
All
I
right,
can add to your thanks, all of the management confidential employees of the district, which I believe there are 10, 11, or 12 management confidential administrators and support people. They all have volunteered, although they're, in many cases, their contract calls for an increase next year. They have all volunteered to take a hard freeze for the coming year as well. So as same level of thanks and appreciation to our central office administrators and our management confidential support folks.
Thank you, Hank. I apologize for not mentioning them as well, but I'm very careful now. I kind of jumped the gun on a statement last week and apologize for that and was a little bit embarrassed. So I'm walking that fine line. But thank you for bringing that up, and thank you to all of those folks as well. Again, it's greatly appreciated. Change in the school calendar 2019-2020. Be resolved, the Board of Education approves amending the 2019-20 school calendar to end school on June 19, 2020. Have a motion?
So moved.
Pam, a second. Jill, any discussion? I think we've kind of discussed it already, but if anybody wants to add anything. Barbara, you're muted. I think Barbara's talking. And Deb.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I forgot to unmute. I had sent in a comment on this, and I'd really like to see the motion amended. This is really a historical document, and if you go ahead to look at, for example, the bus contract, which is our next vote, you see it's got a lot of whereas clauses to explain why this is happening. And if you look at this historic document years from now and just see that we suddenly changed the date of the last day of school, there's no context for it. So I'd like to see us change it, and I don't know if this is exactly the right wording, but I had sent in suggested wording. Whereas our Board of Education approved and adopted a calendar of 186 school days for the 2019-20 school year, and whereas state law requires a minimum of 180 teaching days, whereas pursuant to the governor's order, our district was in session during a 5-day period, April 13th to 17th, originally scheduled as vacation time, and whereas we will have exceeded the required 180 days earlier than originally scheduled, therefore be it resolved that the board approve amending the 2019-20 school calendar such that June 19th will be the last day of classes. It's my recommended wording to revise this motion.
Sure. In terms of what that does, it presents a historical perspective. I did not check those dates, Barbara, but if those are the dates, then you can certainly add that to the motion.
I think that's a good idea. I think Chris tends to agree. Thank you for writing that, Barbara. We'll call it the 21-year Barbara Krieger motion, if you'd like.
No, thank you. I've got others for that.
So we can make those changes, Victor?
I think
of course we can. Barbara, you sent that already, right?
I did send that, not exactly this wording. I can now send you exactly what I just read.
That'll be great. We'll add it in.
Okay. I think we need a new motion, or there's some way to amend it in a second.
It's actually a motion to amend.
Motion to amend. Do I have a motion to amend?
Well, I made the motion to amend, I think. So if somebody could second that.
Second.
Second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? I don't think so. Do I have a motion to adopt? Do I have a motion to adopt the change in 2019-20 school calendar as amended by Barbara Krieger and Yes, do I have all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Execution of contract, first student. Recommend a motion be resolved that the Board of Education authorize the President of the Board of Education to execute the attached agreement by and between the Jericho Union Free School District and first student. I have a motion.
So moved.
Deb, second, Jill. Victor, I just want to, I know I asked you a couple questions. I just want to understand, it appears that we've received or negotiated a 15% reduction for April, May, and June of this year, of the total amount that we were contracted for. Can you just tell us how we got to that amount and why, I guess my question would be why we're agreeing to only a 15% reduction? How does that work long term? And
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of facets to this negotiation. First being the drivers themselves. We consider them part of the Jericho family, even though their paycheck doesn't directly come from us. They're part of us. They see our students in the morning and the afternoon every single day. So that was the piece of it, taking care of our drivers. You know, for a district like us, where we are probably north of 90% dependent on contractors, where other districts some districts have their own fleet and their own drivers who they're paying as well. A big concern is being ready to go day one when the reopen occurs, and we need the fleet there. We need our drivers there, ready to go from the beginning. So that was a significant piece of this negotiation.
how many? If I could just cut you off for a second.
Sure.
Sorry. How many drivers do we have that first student employed?
I'm going to say close to 80. Just thinking off the top of my head with the number of bus routes that we have.
And I'd like to be able to say or be able to ask, you know, but for the fact that we're, you know, basically adhering to the contract with the reductions, those would have been let go or furloughed by first student, as far as you know.
Absolutely, 100%. And there had to be a further negotiation with first student and their particular union, because their union is based on seniority, but not just for Jericho drivers, for all of their drivers as a whole. So we were able to negotiate that we wanted our drivers at Jericho to remain staffed by I know a question had come up regarding the federal payment protection plan, and there is a caveat in the agreement that speaks to that. If they get any federal funding, which I'm not sure if they're even entitled to it, because they are not a small company like other transportation contracts that you may hear of on the island. They are an international company, so I'm not sure they're even able to get it, but they have to certify to us prior to any payment at all that they didn't receive any federal funding, and if they did, there is language in the contract that speaks to it. One of the other things I wanted to touch on, as far as a reason why we're negotiating with them, we're hearing from districts across the island with respect to contractors forcing the districts to go out for a rebid. And literally in the last 2 weeks, 5 districts, and I'll give you the percentage increases: 25%, 25%, 30%, 33%, 37% increases to their current contracts. And that's not just for a year, that's in perpetuity. That 30% increase is the new base going forward. Part of this agreement solidifies that next year we'll be at the CPI, which I would imagine would be between 0 and 1% for the 2021 school year. And we would work hard next year to continue that for the following year as well. So that was a significant piece of it, because again, that would be in perpetuity. If you saw a 25% increase, number one, that the 25% increase is more than paying for April, May, and June. So off the bat in 1 year, that would cost more initially, but more importantly, year 2, year 3, year 4, you'd be, again, that base would be at that 25% increase.
Thank you, Victor. I mean, I think those were important questions and points. To be candid, you know, when I saw the agreement and the reduction, I personally thought it was low. But having spoken with you and listened to you from a business perspective, I totally understand that, because you know, these are big contracts. If we were to absorb a 25 or 30% increase, you know, next year, that could break us. And to know that, listen, these are the drivers that pick up our kids every day and would otherwise be unemployed. You know, I think that it's important to keep them working, because this way, when we're back, they'll be the drivers, you know, that we're
Right.
likely have, and that our kids have grown accustomed to. So,
And,
again,
and
thank
just,
you for all that information.
just one added piece, which I think is important too. It's 15% off the base contract, and we're not paying anything additional for, you know, field trips or athletic trips, or anything that would be outside of the base home to school. So I thought that was an important factor also.
So the 15.
How do we get? Sorry, go ahead, Barbara.
No, I saw the 15%. If you had to calculate, you know, what the fuel and wear and tear on the buses would be, that seems to cover that piece of it.
The fuel is an additional credit on top of the 15% discount.
Oh, okay. So that's an important thing to note.
Yeah.
Also, there was one line I just didn't understand. Number 6 in this paragraph 6, or the number 6, it says crediting the district for live miles used March 1st to 11th. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, that speaks to the fuel.
That's the fuel. Okay. All right. All right.
That's an additional savings, Victor. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, and I think it says in number 13 that if there's a school closure in 2021, the district would no longer be obligated to pay for transportation services. So is that backing us out of the contract entirely, or do we maintain some sort of ability to keep the contract but not pay them for a year?
Yeah, then we have the ability to follow up with them, sit down, and to lay out who has what responsibilities. So we just want to make sure that if by chance in September the bus is not rolling, we're not going to continue with this 15%, 85% breakdown. We'd likely come back to the table, this will probably be mid to late August or so, and see what we can work out with them at that point. So we just wanted to make sure that when we're committing to paying for 3 months, we're not also committing to paying for September, October, November. So that's what we're trying to do, Barbara.
Okay, so it's not actually saying that we're not obligated to pay. It's just saying we will renegotiate.
Correct.
Okay. And the other piece that I just don't understand, if we're paying them enough to cover the full salaries of the employees who drive for Jericho, if they were to receive payroll assistance for those employees, why would we only get half if we've paid the entire thing?
So we've been trying to get as much from them as possible. Frankly, I don't think First Student, they're actually out of Cincinnati. That's their home office. I don't think they're going to even be applying for this, frankly. So, you know, whether it's 50%, I don't think they're going to get a dime of this. So we're just trying to get some payback. Just in the event that they get some money, we wanted them to be able to share some money with us. So we tried to get as much as possible, Barbara.
Okay, it just seems like if we're paying it, we should get the money as opposed to them getting it. But if you don't expect them to get it anyway, we don't need to spend time on it. Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you. Anybody else? All in favor? 5? All right. Thank you. Number 8, and tax anticipation notes, recommended action be resolved, the Board of Education approve tax anticipation notes for the fiscal year 1920-2021 as described in the attached, and directs the board president to sign said documents on behalf of the district. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Should have very
All-
low
any
rates.
discussion? Yes. All in favor? Aye. Adoption of budget 2021 school year. Recommend motion be resolved. The Board of Education adopted proposed budget of $125,365,991 for the 2021 school year, and be it further resolved that the absentee ballot appropriately reflect this amount. Have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second. Dab. Any discussion? Any discussion?
Victor,
Victor,
can
thank
take
you.
us through the changes that you've made? I kind of scribbled up my copy, but just for the public purposes, can you
Sure.
take us through the changes from the originally adopted budget?
Sure. We reduced the transfer to capital. You know, Denise, can you put the changes sheet up? Okay, so the original proposed is at the top, the 126.7. We reduced a piece of equipment from B&G. We can hold off on that for a year. We're comfortable doing that. We reduced the transfer to capital by $900,000 based on removing and just putting off the middle school science labs for the time being. And the reason we looked at that is because we had increased the transfer to capital to $2,175,000. So we felt comfortable that even with this reduction, we're still at an annual amount of funding of $1,275,000. So we felt good about that. As I discussed the other day, if our total budget was $1 million in transfer to capital, we'd be recommending reducing it by $900,000. So I feel okay with that. The administrative salaries due to the hard freeze we reduced. Transportation, we did look at a little deeper, and we took out a couple of contingencies out of transportation. The contributions to TRS we reduced, and FICA associated with the salaries. And that's how we exactly got down to the 125.3.
So our increases in TRS, ERS won't be until the following year?
Correct. Health insurance will be sharp because health insurance runs by calendar year. So you're going to see for 2021 calendar year, starting in January, we'll probably see the first, what I think will be a sharp increase. TRS is on a school year. We're not going to see that increase until the 21-22 school year. And we're assuming based on the stock market, if that continues, we'll begin to see a sharp increase in that in the 2022 school year. ERS is actually a different fiscal year. They are April 1st through March 31st. So we may see a small piece of that, but ERS is a much smaller number to begin with than the TRS. So not overly concerned about that for next year.
The transportation piece of that,
Yeah.
what does that reflect?
You know, we had we budget for a certain number of buses based on current enrollment, and we put in contingencies on top of that for the following year. We looked at it a little closely. We looked at where enrollment is at this point, and looking at where we're not expecting a major influx this summer compared to what we already have. So we did remove a couple of buses from first student for next year.
Okay, so if suddenly things improve and the houses really do sell and everybody does move in at the very last minute?
I still have 4 contingencies in there.
Barbara, you know, and again, we've discussed this at length, but you know, based upon the transportation and immigration limits that the federal government has placed, and looking at literally the real estate sales going to zero, at least I think for the next 6 months, I expect that we're going to look at relatively flat enrollment. I would not be surprised if we actually saw some decrease in enrollment, as we're hearing of people who are moving either out east or back to their home country, whether that's Europe or Asia.
Anybody have any other questions with respect to the budget that you didn't ask last week at the forum that got us to this point? Takers? All right. Now my iPad's going to sleep. Hold on. All in favor? We do have a aye. Opposed? Barbara, did you want to say something else?
No, I
You're
just
muted.
noticed there was actually a question in the chat regarding the budget.
With respect to contract?
Right.
Victor, I think you can answer that pretty easily. Or anybody. Hank?
Yeah, basically, every year we take an amount of estimated increase that we place in the budget that Victor calculates from year to year or calculates during negotiations. We operate under something that's called a tri-borough, and under tri-borough, when a contract expires and is not renewed, all of the provisions of that contract are brought forward to the coming year. So in Victor's calculations, which he can, if he needs to explain more, he can. But in effect, if we don't have a contract on July 1st, all of members of the Jericho Teachers Association would still get all of their step increases, which is something that Victor, as part of routine, would build into his salary code and into the coming year's budget.
So, and I believe I may have asked this earlier, but what percentage increase would just step and column movement be if we don't get this resolved by July 1st, and that has to become part of our expenses? What
Victor, I think when we looked at it, maybe it was just a little under 2 or around 2%.
Around 2%, yeah.
Okay, so step and column alone is 2%.
Correct.
Correct. Thank you.
Any other questions? Driving Victor to drink.
I swear it's water.
I know it is. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Let's see. Approval of schedules A 9656 to U 9661. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Bill, second. Pam. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion. That's everything. We've answered all the public's questions. I think we've done a great job. Again, Victor, thank you for the work that you've done. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Can I just ask, does the chat become part of the minutes of the meeting? Can that be attached? The public comments? Chris, you're muted.
Victor, you're muted. Now you're not.
I wonder whether, Denise, I wonder, in terms of our record keeping, does that chat, I know it shows up in the recording, correct?
It does not show up in the recording because the chat is just something that the panelists see and not the attendees.
Yeah, the entire Zoom is recorded in its entirety, and we are proposing the questions that are in the chat and answering them. So I think that's more than sufficient with respect to the minutes. Chris, do you agree?
Sure. So if a question is being posed, it's being answered, it will be in the minutes and should be in the minutes.
I'm just looking in terms of, there were a lot of congratulations to people and just comments that were in there that, didn't necessarily become part of the minutes. And it's very easy to just click save chat and just make it an attachment.
But it's really supposed to be for that which is discussed in public. And if it's a private, congratulations, to teacher, principal, and that was not stated in public, I think you're better off leaving it off. I think you should be putting into the minutes any kind of issues that are presented and discussed by the Board of Education. But in terms of like the side comments, I don't think that's necessary under the public officers law to do so, or under the open meetings law to do so.
No. Okay, I looked at it as more of the equivalent of the opportunity for the public to be heard.
Yeah, so I look at it as side comments that shouldn't be in the minutes.
I guess because it's Zoom, it's more like people applauding, but since they can't applaud, they're saying congratulations.
Right.
I do think the questions that we responded to, which were certainly relevant, all the questions we did answer, will become part of the minutes, correct?
Well, it'll be part of the recording, and the recording.
Correct. All right. Thank you.
The minutes.
Right. All right. So all in favor?
Wait. I have one more.
You want to?
Can I ask
Sure,
one
well,
more?
go ahead.
I know we've got the district safety committee, and we've got site-based teams in all of the buildings. And I'm wondering whether they've been meeting to talk about school opening for September and concerns and issues, because that's a great way to have people from, parent groups and teacher groups and staff, custodial, really to get everybody involved in, just addressing all the different concerns that there would be for, the reopening.
So right now, as we're working with Altaris, the first series of meetings will take place with our small central office group, basically working with Altaris, getting some templates, and then as we put that together and as we get more information from the Department of Health, State Education Department, we look at, and again, one of the recommendations they made to us today was that once we start with the base planning, we then include and expand, and very frankly, we expand in different work groups. Instead of actually going into building committees, actually looking at specific work groups, for example, transportation being a work group, buildings and grounds being a work group. So right now we're exploring those recommendations from Altaris, and then from that we will expand the participation, and obviously we will report to the Board of Education and to our community as we expand that through the coming months. Again, it's still early, and acknowledged by Altaris that you don't want to make any hard, fast plans right now based upon the unknowns. So again, working closely with them, and there will be greater levels of involvement as we move into June and July and into August.
I understand not making hard, fast plans, but it seems to me there are probably groups that might want to feel that they're being heard a little bit earlier, and maybe just one large meeting that includes representatives from all of the different groups, just to give everybody the feeling that they are being heard, and so that they would know that this is going to be later divided up into smaller groups and these different teams for different subjects.
Yeah, well, again, Barbara, I think our starting point is going to be from experts from the Department of Health, from State Ed, and from the Governor's Office. So the basis of our initial discussion and our initial work with Altaris is going to start from there. But obviously, we will include additional groups as time unfolds.
I know you didn't intend to suggest that our teachers and our staff are not experts, because everybody's an expert in their own area. And
I think we do acknowledge what we are expert in, and we acknowledge what Altaris is expert in, and we acknowledge what our Department of Health is expert in, so that there are areas that we want to weigh in. But clearly, we're going to base our decisions on science. We're going to base our decisions from people who are expert from the Department of Health, from the State Education Department, and from the Governor's Office.
No, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with all of that. I was just thinking on a different level, just the kinds of things that teachers are more aware of, or that our custodial staff is more aware of, that our nurses are aware of, in terms of individual kinds of things, not the big picture kinds of things that we're going to get from the governor and the health department, but more of the smaller details, just to let people know that their concerns are being addressed. Just something to think about. I'm not asking you to commit to it.
Listen, I think even, in that same light, as we move forward and find out what's going on as we move into the summer and we get closer to the fall, I think that, that's typically a time, other than our reorg meeting in July, which is not well attended, we're going to have a lot more of these certainly opportunities from a public perspective to get input. So I think we're always trying to push, Hank and the district, making sure all the, shareholders are involved as they always are. I imagine as we know more things, we'll do more public forums as well, because we're going to have to keep people enlightened on what's going on. I'm sure most kids aren't going away to camp this summer, so I think we'll address all those.
Yeah, and again, Bill, to your point, I think one of the strengths of our district historically has been the involvement of our school community, the transparency that we share with our school community. That has been what we really have built in our school district, and we'll continue to do that. And we have done that through the last 10 weeks in communicating, I think communicating well with our school community as we've gone through the challenges in the first 10 weeks. And we'll continue to do that as we go through the challenges in the next 10 or 20 weeks.
Thanks. Anybody have anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn? Yes. Jill, you have something to say?
No, I made a motion to
Second,
adjourn.
Pam's nodding her head. All in.
Second.
I got you. And Pam just made a second. How's that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Be well, everyone. Thank you for being
safe.
here with us. At some point, we had quite a few people in here. Apparently, I bored a number of them into leaving. But stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you at the next meeting. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for your help.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Take care.
Bill. Good job. Be well, be healthy, everyone.
See you guys.
Thank you.